which was a increasing cost factor in all of our past real estate projects. Addressing the claims from the whistleblower. So we do understand that whistleblowing is very important. In the end of the day, we have a whistleblower policies in our company, and all of these rights have been upheld. None of this employee who did have these allegations against our company has not been terminated, has absolutely nothing has been done, and all of his rights, his employment has still been secure. Now, when he talks about unskilled labor in the real estate sector in the whole construction industry, defining skilled and unskilled labor, especially in migrant laborers for hard work construction labor, is very, very hard. It's very, very rare. So the definition of unskilled labor is missed in the claims done by the whistleblower. When he talks about standards of safety, Cognito Limited has been very open with all the national development code and any kind of regulatory checks. Any kind of development board or regulatory board are free to come to our premises and look at the safety conditions. And based on that, we're open because we have nothing to hide. Because as of us and as of our company, irrespective of the cycle of the business, we do not cost cut. And looking at not violating ISO 21930. ISO 21930, as mentioned by the whistleblower, explicitly talks about environmental disclosures in construction. It is that we have not disclosed environmental thing because it has not come to the completion of the project. So while the project is being completed, we'll obviously disclose our environmental procedures. So we are technically not violating ISO 21930. Talking about the ethical diversification. The reason why we did have a translator in that meeting is because we have a translator in all meetings. The main reason why we have a translator is not to offend anybody, but not to make sure that nothing is lost in communication between our diverse employees and with our top level executive management. The reason here is that we want everybody to be in equal footing. If there is a native and if there is somebody from a different locality or a different country, we don't want any of their valuable inputs be lost in the meeting or it not being coherently conveyed to our top level management. Hence is why we have a translator. It is not because of any other reason, but solely to make sure that there is smooth flow of communication between the employees and the top level management. Talking about any kind of claims of sexual harassment or us not favoring women empowerment, I will come clarify the situation here. So it is mainly because of the employee past record. The employee past record from her previous company clearly states that the employee does not deal with pressure, deal well in high pressure situations, and does not deal well in managing large groups of people. With this record of her previous transcript is why we have not promoted her, even though she has a better record than the male counterpart. And this was one of the main considerations. Because of her brilliant track record in her previous time, we have compensated her well with our normal incentives and pay regarding our bonuses. When we look at overall industry trends, is the reason why it looks like we do not favor women. But in the real estate sector right now, if you look at it, and especially in the construction sector, 85% of the construction sector is totally dominated by men. With all of this, we still do look at incorporating women in our company. And when we come to visa requirements, the reason why it is this again is correlates with the ethical diversification point is because that it is sometimes really hard for us to have foreign nationals in a country.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you have the last 10 seconds. You have overshot the time limit.
Because of visa regulations placed by an Indian company and accommodation for the same. So addressing the strike, we are going to have an open dialogue with the brokers union and the traders union to find a consensus to any kind of problems. Increasing perks, just because right now we cannot give them monetary perks, we come up with compensating them with any perks and deferred compensation. And clearly on any allegations, setting out a public release statement to our investors and the public to make sure that our company is doing everything it can and to clear out any other malicious claims against our company, which was not true in the first case. Thank you.
Hey Abhinav, just wanted to know, what's the female to male ratio in your company?
The female to male ratio in our company is 65-35, sir.
So you have 65% female to 35% male?
No, sir. 65% male to 35% female.
Okay, and any reason behind it? Like, why can't? What is the reason behind it? Like, you have to keep it in 65 to 35 ratio.
So, as mentioned in my presentation before, that the current a female to male ratio in the real estate sector and the construction sector is 80 to 20 and 90 to 10 respectively. So we are trying our best to incorporate more women into coming into the country and entering the whole industry as a whole, not our company in specific, but the whole real estate sector and the whole construction industry as a whole has decreasing women trend. So we trying to be above market, have a 65 to 35% male to female ratio, but we are still doing our best to increase this by tying up with the ISP Women Foundation to get in and look to people to be look to get women into more executive positions than any other sector. Are there any
Abhinav, you
questions?
spoke about deferred compensation.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me how deferred compensation helps an employee? Can you hear me, Abhinav?
Yeah, yes, I can hear you. Sir, the reason we are
Yes. So my
using
question was on
deferred compensation. Yes, sir. So the reason why we are using deferred compensation right now is because of our current cash flows. Right now, we cannot provide them right now at this time during the recession cycle of the business cycle of the real estate sector and the industry as a whole. We cannot give them monetary compensation. So by promising them the fact that we will be paying them this certain amount of money at the end of the cycle or at the end of the financial year, is that we are giving them assurance from the company side that in due time they will get that monetary compensation that they are entitled to. No intense cuts, but they will just don't get it at the current time. It's that later on they will get it at a lump sum amount.
But how can you even assure that they will get it at a later point in time, Abhinav? Because as it is, you're facing poor quality of products, and you also mentioned that you are facing project delays. So how can you assure of a future lump sum payout?
So if you look at the 2020 timeline of the pandemic, while the pandemic just hit, right before the pandemic just hit, the real estate sector was booming. It was doing absolutely brilliant. Leatherton places everywhere in and around the airports, in and around cities, huge malls, huge buildings coming up everywhere. The pandemic hit in 2021, went fully low. 2022 and 2023 had a boom in the real estate sector because of inflow of funds due to FII and everything else. And after the huge boom, it just consolidated because of the inflation and of any inflationary pressure after a huge boom in the pressure. So right now, it's just that we are assured that the real estate sector will pick up. So once it picks up, materials and inflow of inputs and supplies come in much more smoothly. So when we have better supply, when we have a better supply chain, when it's constructed in a better way, we're 100% sure that the demand in any other sector, the real estate sector also will boom after a recession. There will be a peak, there'll be a throw, there'll be an expansion. So during the expansion periods, project delays will reduce and we'll have more project completion rates. So as and when our project completion rates increase, more cash flow and more revenue comes in. While that happens, that will exactly correlate with the time that we are giving deferred compensation to these employees, so they are properly benefited and doing well because their interests is aligned with the companies. So when the company does well, the employees do well.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry, but I don't think there's time for any other questions. We've already gone
I'm
overboard.
done unless Satvik has something else to ask me.
Satvik, I think
thank you.
there's only time for. Okay.
Thank you, Anuj.
All right. Thank you, Abhinav. You can
Absolutely.
leave the table now.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Power is so much more than just words. A look here, and you make yourself clear. Sometimes all it takes to inspire is a simple nod. One moment, and your point is made. Power. It says so little, yet means so much. Van Heusen. power dressing.
We will first tackle the local leaders that are present in the slums, because every slums has one leader which people, or you can say a senior citizen or anyone who people believe in. So we will try to find those people and we will convince them. Apart from that, we will have some marketing strategies. We have also submitted poster regarding the same. We will do that so that people get convinced. We will convince the heads of a locality about the projects. We will convince them and they will convince the other people. And by this, a network of, you can say, network marketing.
Participants, do you have any brochure to present?
We actually submitted that.
Yeah, actually submitted.
All right, can you present that now?
Yeah, one second.
Yes. Second. We have actually 2 deliverables.
The laptop is.
This is one of the brochures. Is it visible?
Judges, is the brochure visible?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the brochure, and I'll just present the second brochure as well.
please switch on your cameras?
Yeah, 1 second. I'm just waiting for another teammate. Can we have like 10 seconds?
Yeah. Okay, no problem.
Management system. So on-site waste sorting. So this is basically where they are. Can you go to the next slide? Sir? Can you go to the next slide? Okay. So we'll talk about site separation, hybrid recycling, and common recycling. So site separation is basically where they will have special. I'm so sorry. Can you hear me?
Shreya, could you please mute your mic when you're not talking? Thank you.
Yeah. So in site separation, we will have different bins for each kind of waste where we will train workers to put the waste in those particular bins. So it'll basically act like as a recycling bin. Now, commingled recycling is this where all the waste will be put into one particular bin and it will be later separated by another party. This is a little bit more expensive, but far more efficient in case the site separation techniques take a lot of time. And hybrid recycling is where we use both kind of techniques. Next slide.
Wait, so what are you suggesting?
We will be using it based on the type of project.
Okay.
So if there's a lot of waste disposed,
won't that increase the time to sort of train people, the extra resources? Won't it be much easier to just train people once and then sort of make sure that they do things faster?
Yes, sir. So training will happen only once. That will be for site separation. For commingled recycling, training does not take place because all they do is dispose the waste in one particular bin.
Yeah, so those people also need training, right?
Sir?
Those people also would need training, right? Like offsite rack, like sort of rack picker sort of people would also need training. I'm just trying to understand your logic.
So if I may elaborate, it's basically depending on the different stages of the project where we feel like different recycling procedures might be needed. So we will be doing an active survey in the place, which we'll be elaborating further. And depending on that survey, we will segregate what kind of procedure we need to use.
Go ahead.
Okay. Darpin, can I take over?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so we have basically categorized our process into three main categories. First is we want to enforce material optimization. Second is we want to help with the material selection and how it can be utilized properly. Thirdly, we'll have the on-site planning, as Darpan pointed out. So for designing, we want to make sure that the materials that are used are advisably these. So we will, so that we will be able to crush and melt them and recycle them.
Whoever is going with the PPT, just present the slide that you're talking about. Just don't keep going up and down with slides.
Okay, I'm sorry, sir. So if you can see, we have given a list of major materials that we're expecting in these wastes. So we will be using C/M, that's crushing/melting, to recycle them, and once again we will use them. So we'll make sure that even in the design, like through the talks, these materials are used, and additionally, these as well, the electric wires or the cardboards or waste plastic can also be used in these manners. We're also bringing in an innovation of plastic bricks, which can be advised through this, which is basically our construction units use again the plastic waste or the other construction waste that we have. So basically reusing as well as recycling in the same manner. So here again, as I was talking about the phases.
What's the general process for recycling? Are you guys going to do it in-house, or are you just going to ship out the raw material to external vendors? How does that work?
So sir, again, it depends on the scale again, according to the survey. So on a large scale, we do want to like...
So say plastic, right? So you're going to be getting stuff in batches, right? You're not going to demolish everything on day one
Yes,
and
sir.
then do stuff, right? So
Yes, so for plastic, we are outsourcing it because we have found contractors who are already doing the plastic bricks in a more efficient manner. So depending on that, we'll be giving the contract. But the cardboards and their melting can be done by ourselves.
Okay, and also to focus on our specialization, we'd like to point out that we have got the LEED certification, that is the certification given for sustainability on a Trafalgar project, which is already which is close to development. So that is to focus on our sustainable goals and to show our expertise. Sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, so again about the phases. So first we will be surveying and finding out what are the construction wastes that are generated here and how much of it is generated. And depending on that, whether it's large scale or small scale and about the expertise that we have, we will be segregating these into contracts and the ones that we can do by ourselves. And again, in these, the materials that can be reused and recycled within this construction space and some that will have to be transported elsewhere. So here the plastic bricks innovation will definitely be contracted because we've found innovative contractors. Adding on to that, we'll have building information modeling, which will help us to keep a very good control over the waste generated and the waste control. We'll have collaborative workshops and trainings to make sure that our skilled and unskilled workers are aware about these practices and that they are also able to collaborate and coordinate with these. We'll also focus on 3D coordination, which again we think is an essential step towards making sure that these plans are executed properly.
Explain this to me. What is a 3D coordination?
So, sir, when we have a construction happening, before that we plan, right? So when we plan, we know what kind of materials we're going to use, and most of the times it goes wrong because the estimations are a little lesser or extra, and that is where the waste generation happens. So we want to optimize these materials, which means we want to make this much more efficient through 3D coordinations. We believe that it will help reduce waste. So we're looking at reduce, reuse, and recycle.
What is 3D? What is so 3Ds is like reduce. What exactly do you mean by 3D coordination?
Before the construction plan happens, we want to first 3D plan it. That is what we mean here. So we know the definite
Okay, perfect.
resources that is allowed here.
Understood. Next.
Yes, sir. So these are the steps for reducing. For reducing, that is basically we're looking at 3D coordination and how we can plan according to the definite number of resources that we need. Then the reuse, which is basically where we are reusing the same on-site.
You can proceed with the further slides.
That's about it.
Yes, so that's about it. If you need any clarifications, we'll provide you with them.
Yeah, just a minute. So, where exactly is the offsite going to be happening? The offsite sort of breaking up and stuff. Where is that going to be happening?
So, sir, the large materials like waste concrete and waste asphalt and stuff like that will be transferred to an elsewhere place, considering the construction is happening here. So that will be happening separately. But gypsum and cardboard will. So
where? Which part of the country? Which part of the city? Where?
Sir, it is
one contractor in North Bangalore, that is for plastic bricks, and rest of them in South.
Okay, but won't that sort of create more environmental damage? Isn't it much easier to sort of just transport them to a relatively sort of unpopulated part of the country, probably somewhere near Kuskote or somewhere else?
So we have found these contractors based on their expertise in doing recycling materials. That's
so what we found out was like Bellandur itself is like a little remote, but considering the fact that like the expertise there is not as sustainable, we would rather choose efficiency.
And Bellandur is not remote. Like there's a city that extends at least 20 kilometers after Bellandur as well.
Yes, sir, but again, the expertise concerns are why we choose not.
I'm really sorry to interrupt participants. Please,
all right,
your time is up.
Thank you.
No, I would prefer you explaining because I can't really see the numbers on the screen.
All right. So it's 210 crores and 46.80% goes to waste management. That comes up to 98.28 crores. 41% goes to water supply and quality management. That is 86.1 crores. Mechanization of the process goes for 3.4%, which is 7.14. This looks like instituting these pH sensors and other things to monitor sanitation and health in the general smart city. Furthermore, multiples and others, including other small parts of it, go to 8.8%, that is 18.48 crores. Now, for housing, our budget outlay as given by the SPV was 300 crores, and we plan to spend 49% on that on real estate, that is 147 crores, 18.8% on slum development, because the greater Mumbai area has slum areas that need development and need to they need to be relocated.
What
And
exactly would real estate cover?
real estate would cover land acquisition, ma'am. And
I mean, how are you? There would be a protest. I mean, people not being happy with it, right?
ma'am,
How exactly are you going to go about that?
So what we're planning on doing this is that we plan on releasing our campaign and our press release, which clearly states that the kind of real estate investments that we will have in land acquisition will go towards developing the affordable housing that we have, right? And the affordable housing is specifically aimed at facilitating the economically weaker section of society, which will have the maximum amount of uprising. So once and the government of Maharashtra has done this in the past as well, where they have acquired.
I get this is your entire strategy, but then I mean, say I wouldn't be readily convinced, right? Would anything?
All right, ma'am. So, in order to respond to your general worries, if I were to address you as a member of the public, I'd answer it via three ways, right? Currently, the state of Maharashtra is going through a phase of high unemployment at 20.9%. So whether you are in the low income group or in middle income group, you are bound to be negatively impacted by that, right? And beyond everything else, government acquiring a land is not just as straightforward as that, right? We do pay and give tax incentives to the people we acquire it from. And furthermore, we believe that this is the long-term benefit, because if we go on without the smart city project, the rates of unemployment are going to increase. We're going to see high levels of brain drain from the country, and general economic growth is going to be impacted, right?
And if I could just add, ma'am,
We have exhausted our time limit for rebuttals. Mr. Nihal, do you have any questions?
Final statement.
Mr. Nihal, do you have any questions?
Let him give his final statement. That's fine. And I have a very short question.
Kevin, if the judges want to keep questioning, that's also fine. They can extend for about a minute or so.
All right. Fine.
Rowan,
right, you had a statement to make?
Right. So I'd just like to extend to what my associate just said about the 49% land acquisition. So I would also like to add that the Maharashtra government has already seen a lot of acquisition of land in the suburbs, like places like Sion and Kurla, where we have precedence for the fact that at the end of the day, the public always ends up understanding that the government had positive intentions towards the moves they made. And given that at the time it might seem like a bad idea, in the long run, when the people have access to the different kind of facilities that we give them and the better standards of housing that we give them at much cheaper rates, at much more affordable rates, it does become much better for the public. And now the public knows that as a fact, because as I said, there's precedence to it.
Furthermore, we plan to bring in the PMAY into supporting our decision and talking to the public, because they have a long-standing relationship with the Maharashtrian public, and we believe their influence and their general involvement in our project can help with the long-term issue or any mitigate any other issues that may come up, because people know that they work in the best interest of them and they can be a spokesperson for us as well.
Okay, so my very quick question was, as you briefly mentioned as well, COVID has pushed about 850 million people into either their revenues have decreased or it has it's created a lot of repercussions, right? So I want you to talk about how, even though this is not a part of your core plan, how are you going to address issue of livelihood?
All right, sir. So I'd like to respond to your question in three ways. Firstly, since 2021, the post-COVID scenario, and it's now 2025, we've seen a mass growth in the level of investment in the economy, and in general, a higher level of which is why we begun this whole smart city project, right? And we believe that we can assuage any other damage that might have carried on from that, as shown by our housing one second, I'm sorry. Yeah, a housing status action where we have strategic point employment, right? This basically means that we will have dabawalas, we will have other local business owners be able to set up business and shop in this smart city, and we will ensure that the residents of the city have direct access to this. We will also ensure that these small business owners who live in these cities can set up their business, like they can set up their own grocery shop or they can set up their own salon, and this will also increase the employment opportunities over there. We will also incentivize employment within the smart city and within Maharashtra as well. And in general, we believe that this is a long-term benefit that will assuage any remaining damage that stayed with people and their personal incomes ever since COVID-19.
Thank you, participants. We have exhausted our time limit.
Thank you so much, sir. Have a nice day.
Thank you, judges. Have a nice day.
As we intend to form like deals with contractors and individuals who already do this on a retail basis to generate the following products. We think that all kinds of recycled concrete aggregations, that is like the tiny dust and all of that, small unusable pieces of construction material, can be processed and manufactured into probably manufactured soil or any sort of fine aggregate, which we intend to process further to form the following: drainage covers, curbstones, and as well as prefabricated walls. We intend to use this in the public works department and like to improve the general general outlook of Bangalore as a whole. And we aim to do this from completely recycled and processed entities in order to ensure that there is fair waste management. Secondly, we would also like to look at the toxic waste disposal mechanism. This way, we think that creating another information network will help constructors adequately identify reclaiming methods, disposal methods, and they will be able to partner with individuals and find these partnerships, which will be brokered by us.
How are you going to be doing that? Can you just explain this disposable part to me in a bit more detail? How exactly do you connect people?
Right. So we intend to form. We do recognize there are a lot of second-hand sellers as well as remelters and other external aggregators in Bangalore. The problem is
disposable would mean. So when you say disposable, do you mean stuff that needs to be disposed, like completely sort of either put in landfills, incarcerated, or something like that, or do you mean something that will be recycled again?
Processable will be recycled. Disposable will be into life.
So how do you connect people? Like what? How do you like? Can you just explain that part to me?
Definitely. So considering that the government itself controls a lot of landfills, and there are some public parties like Neel Kamal and all these big waste management giants, we are going to be putting construction companies in contact with them through a platform that we would intend to build. This platform will allow individuals to connect with each other and better streamline the process of waste management. The problem right now is that a lot of construction people have all this waste, but they really do not have the means to either reach out to these individuals, nor do they have the means to get the infrastructure required to transport this kind of material. We as a public works department would like to facilitate this transportation and communication so that any sort of waste which is disposed toxically, disposed in a because it is toxic, will be segregated from non-toxic disposable waste, and there will be, in addition to proper segregation, there will be direct routes to landfills, so that we can just get some sort of cost benefit by aggregating this under a single platform.
All right.
Yeah. We do have the strategy breakdown. So our functions are threefold, right? First is traffic management, second is waste management, and third is housing development. Target because this is a government initiative, we will be targeting lower income groups as well, because we would like to provide welfare through this, and they are the ones who usually bear the brunt of bad waste management. And we would also like to target everyday travelers to benefit them. Partnerships that we intend to procure are with AI, with firms such as those, which will be willing to develop softwares to do predictive analytics and help us reroute traffic and identify bottlenecks. Second, we will be forming partnerships with large waste disposal units as well as contractors, so that we can show them best practice. And
Srini, I'm really sorry to interrupt, but your time for presentation is up. And
sure, definitely. Closing statement.
All right, done. I think I've got what I was looking for. Thank
okay, Srini, you can
Can I conclude?
Yeah, okay. I'll give you 30 seconds max.
Right. So lastly, in terms of innovation, we are always we would like to create a system where innovation in these particular spheres is encouraged and funded and given some sort of government incubation support, because we do recognize that, especially in Bangalore, startups are contributing a lot to the public works, and we would like to forge those partnerships as well.
Thanks a lot, Srini, for
This is a new point. This is a new point, not a conclusion. Is that
all right? No.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. To conclude, I would just like to say we all have the same aim to develop this locality, and we hope to do this in the most sustainable manner possible. We urge you to help us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Srinidhi. Yeah. So the problems that you're facing in Balandur are that there's a lot of congestions due to the unplanned buildings in there, and there's partial commercialization of the residential properties, and also with the tech parks around Balandur, there's a growing demand for more residential space. So we are looking to increase the housing capacity and decrease the traffic congestions and provide expertise on the demolition waste recycling. So to increase housing capacity and help reduce the traffic congestions, after the demolition, we want to create new neighborhoods or in underused lands, if possible, around metro cities, around metro stations, so that we can help people use the public transport to reduce traffic. And we also want to invest in transportation corridors, not only metros, but even buses, since it's more cheaper. And we want to start repairs on metros to make sure that the people can rely on it more. And
What
we also
exactly are you going to repair in metros?
I'm not sure about specific repairs that the metros need, but that's a suggestion.
How can you suggest something to repair when you don't know what's broken? All right, go on.
Is like the basic maintenance repair. Just repair on metros, as in more of the maintenance on basic wear and tear, so that we make sure that we're following the basic standards and all.
I don't think repairs is a synonym of maintenance, but all right, go on.
Okay, and we want to develop.
You can go to the next slide. Pretty clear. Yeah.
So, Tani, do you want to
go on? I'll continue. You can go on. I'll continue.
Okay. So one of the things that we wanted to focus was on protecting the current residents in Balandur. So if they decide to move to more affordable areas, we want to create better public transport for them to travel to their workplace.
What exactly is the process that you would implement to maintain the pH levels in the water of Balandur, which currently aren't already there?
Can you repeat your question?
Can you just explain the point A of the subpoint A of point number 1? We can adopt processes to maintain pH level. What are these processes?
We didn't really research specific processes, but this is like a suggestion.
Right. Next slide. Yeah, next slide.
Okay.
Can we just explain this one?
Yeah, sure. Go on. If there's something else.
Yeah. So basically, for the other incentives, the current residents happy, we'd like to have some changes in the residential area. We'd like to manage the organic waste. So, right now, it's a good practice that happens in Gurgaon. From what we saw, it's Gurgaon. So a lot of the people in these bigger residential areas take the organic waste along with the horticulture waste and process it and try to use it within their own parks and gardens for the maintenance of their own societies. So we would like because it's already tried and tested, we would like to adapt to that measure and have a better and greener lifestyle, which should be an incentive.
Can you tell me how you're going to be incentivizing people to do something like this?
So we will provide them with the maintenance. All they have to do is segregate the waste. We'll have a team of workers who will collect the waste, segregate it, put them into drums, put the enzymes and the horticulture waste. All they have to do is just segregate the waste. Also for the other waste management, so we would like to basically focus on how to make better use of their waste. So a lot of these companies, there are these companies based in Maharashtra. They buy your, which is also present in Bangalore. So they buy your plastic waste and they give you the money after buying the waste, and they produce fuel out of the plastics. So we would like to segregate the waste.
So both of what you're saying is currently being done with not a lot of success because people are not sort of nudged to do it. So that's what I'm trying to understand. If you have better ways to make sure people actually do it, right?
No, it's not. They're not at all unsuccessful. They're very successful actually.
In Bangalore.
in Bangalore too, they're all followed. It's just that because it's a new technology, it's not spread as of yet. And as an initiative, we would like to take it up because from what we've noticed, it's already practiced and successful. These are not.
Can you proceed with the next slide?
Yes. For the demolition waste management, these are the different techniques we'd like to follow. The collection and removal of waste can be done by the hydraulic hoist system. It only has timber and conduit pipes. So there is when you're designing and implementing a lot. There's sometimes the last change of some of the products are not required. So we'd like to auction those extra products. Plastic and broken glass can be recycled. Rubber, bricks, plaster, and concrete can be used for leveling or undercoating for larger for places for the road where there's not a lot of heavy traffic vehicles. Yes.
So isn't the hydraulic hoist system for like the cars, like to sort of place them in parking above a particular car? Isn't that the sort of use case? How are you going to use that to remove waste?
No, that's not the case. This is
That's the usual use case of like hydraulic hoist, is that right? Like you have a hydraulic system and there's a hoist that sort of lifts stuff from the ground to a certain level, right? That's
yeah.
what
This is So this is.
Who's going to be using that to remove waste?
No, so basically this comes under the process of collection and removal of waste. So you basically collect all of this. This is just basically this was just basically the first step of collection and removal of waste. So when you've collected, when the demolition.
I'm trying to explain to you what a hydraulic hoist does. So say this is the ground, this is the hoist, right? The hydraulic press pushes stuff above the ground, right? How is this process going to be used to efficiently and prompt removal of waste? How is that going to happen?
Yeah, it was just the process for transportation and collection of waste.
It's still going to be here. How are you going to sort of...
When we were looking into demolition waste management, this is something we came across that is being used.
No, but you would have sort of researched the Bitport, you would realize that, like, what's the process? That's what I'm trying to understand. I'm not saying that it might not exist. I'm trying to understand what is the process. How does it work? It might exist.
Yeah, so basically when the hydraulic hoist was big, it was basically when it was with the help. Can you repeat your question? I'm slightly...
All right, I think that we'll run short of time. You can just finish your sort of PPT and then we'll sort of...
Yeah, I can't see the PPT.
I think your teammate has lost the connection. So you have only 30 seconds left. If you want to wrap up, you can.
Yeah, for the I don't think I'll need the hydraulic. So the hydraulic is based the has gravity power.
ICT and mechanization budget to around 5%. So this will be actually removed or cut or kind of mixed into the other services sector that was set aside. Yeah. So how are we going to? Yeah.
Coming to the allocation of the budget for water and sanitation. So, in case we were talking continuously about the improvisation of IT in this field, so basically the three things that we will incorporate is
Participants,
first is
you have 20
solar-based water.
seconds left in your presentation. Please wrap up.
Okay, because there'll be three important elements. First is 1+ waste monitor system and compology. These are the two innovative systems that people are using all around the world for detection of where the waste is created and how to navigate it through. Another is fog catcher. It's basically because Maharashtra is an area where the water scarcity is one of the biggest issues. So using the Western Ghats, we can implement a strategy of fog catchers. Other distribution include 40% on solar-based water filtration and 25% on basic pipeline distribution system. Move to the other slide. Coming to the tax collection part, we have to actually collect a tax of 125 crores from the Mumbai people. I've taken an average of national average that only 3% of Indians actually pay tax. So with the population,
Your time for presentation is up. You may scroll through the remaining slides.
will be open to questions.
Your time for rebuttal starts now.
Could you just quickly take us through the last slide, making ends meet? What exactly is that?
Sorry. Natika, you want to take this?
Oh yeah, so making ends meet is the campaign that we will be taking on for two things. First, we have to actually propagate the idea of smart city in minds of people we are basically building it for, that is economically backward section. And another section that we have to cater is the people we need to support, because there are minor riots going on within Mumbai itself of people not satisfied with the smart city program. So the major thing that we will be taking up is propagating the whole thing in Marathi, which will sort of get into this touch with us. Second is to cater and to penetrate in the mind of the people whom we are catering to. We'll be collaborating with the NGOs who supply for
we get the point. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, thanks for that. One question from my end was you mentioned that you would be setting up commercial spaces under your housing project where you've allocated around 300 CR, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and on top of that, you would be building your residential areas. So how exactly, would you justify an allocation of 300? Because I'm pretty sure even you have that understanding that a commercial project definitely takes in more capital, right?
Yeah.
So, even if we get returns, say, after a point of time, we have to also ensure that we get correct partnerships for the commercial spaces. So how do you ensure both that we can meet our liability given at the initial stage of outflow, and how do we meet the inflow and get the returns after a period of time?
Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is that, like, as you had mentioned in the question itself, that we actually expect that this would be in the long term, this would be something that will be generating inflow for us, as well as would be providing services to the citizens there. So right now, it's not that we are actually developing a commercial property or a commercial space itself, but instead we can incorporating it into the housing project. So we expect that in case there is an increase in the cost stage, it would not. It would be at a maximum of at a maximum figure. This is again, this is at setting it at a maximum figure of possibly. It would possibly around 20 crores at maximum increase. And again, what we actually had a suggestive idea is that first of all, we expect that we would be given, over time we'd be given partnerships into the project more, and we could use those funds. But other than that, we were actually planning of issuing a form of debentures, which would help the people actually be a part of the project also. Yeah.
One sec, who would you be raising these debentures from?
It will be open to the public. So it will be issued as the Maharashtra Smart City Mission Project. And, yeah.
And would the rate be associated with your debenture?
We will be setting it at a 6% return.
A 6% return, which is equivalent to almost a FD at the current stage.
Yeah.
Okay. Nihal, any questions from him? That's it from me.
No, no, I think they answered that.
Okay. I'm so sorry, we are not able to hear any. Hello?
Are you okay?
Yeah, we are okay. Actually, I can't hear you guys, so that's just one thing.
Okay. No, I said I don't have any questions for you right now. I'm good.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Entering into a contract with you and working with you on the roads.
Do you have details to this?
Not as of now, but the plan is to be contracted for the building of these roads in the Belandu region.
Okay. All right. You think you're done? Yeah.
Basically just a little bit about the buildings. So as you can see, this is a scene from Belandur, and we will be using the components that we find. We will be recycling them on the site and using them for the reconstruction of these buildings. Would you like to know the details of the machinery that we're using? So we'll be using excavators, dragline excavators to be specific, bulldozers, graders, and wheel tractor scrapers.
Okay. So as a
yeah,
contract, I'm going to
that
be
would
giving you money, and you're going to get all these equipment and start working, or how does it work? Like, can I help you with some amount of equipments that we have already?
Yeah, definitely. So the thing is
I'm
that
really
this is
sorry
a
to interrupt,
large
Snehal,
scale
but
operation. So we do
Yeah.
have okay.
Snehal, I think
So
this
we do have our own capital, but
Uh,
since it won't be sufficient, we can be using the equipment that BBMP will provide us as well, and that will speed up the process too. So yeah.
all right. So thank you so much. If you need to conclude, just conclude in like 10 seconds, and then we're done. Thanks.
To conclude, I would just like to say that demolition waste management is the way to go, and it is a way to make our future more sustainable, because there is a lot of demolition waste that's generated, and it is high time that we start using it for our construction and just go towards a more sustainable real estate industry. That's it.
Thank you so much, Snehal. I think, sir, do you have any more questions?
No, thanks.
All right. Thank you, Snehal. All the best.
I'm so sorry. I would just like to add on one point.
No, I think we're done.
environmental equipment for our processes. We believe in being the most methodological developers there are in the country. With that, let us start with the presentation. Now, here's our phase-wise implementation plan of action. We will be implementing demolition strategies, which will include a lot of environmental safety features as well, including rack pickers, including cleaning and development, including moving on to land preparation. We'll be preparing the land before the demolition process. We need to make sure that the other buildings, the buildings that are located in the other areas near to the buildings are strong enough to withhold all the actions of the demolition procedures that are happening along with it. The redevelopment process of it is all the... Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, go on.
I'm so sorry. It said that I'm disconnected over here. That's why I had to stop. Yeah. So the redevelopment process is basically when we have there's going to be a lot of small amount of repercussions that will take place because of the demolitions. A few buildings here and there might have a lot of small repercussions that are being. We'll be redeveloping all of them. We'll be ensuring retrofittings to make sure that there is no environmental degradation as well as there is proper and modern equipment. We'll be ensuring an e-governance and redressal system to make sure that the highest quality of the redressal is taken care of and all of the queries are resolved. Moving on to the demolition strategies. Now we'll be ensuring that a rack pickers for all items to make sure that the whole environment is clean. A lot of these metal rods will need to be recycled and can be reused for further developmental projects as well. Now, most of these roofs especially have a lot of metal in them. The POPs, for example, we'll be recycling all the material there is, and we will be using it ourselves for making it for other developmental processes, or we might sell it for generating additional revenue as well. Now, we will also be reusing and recycling cement waste. Now, the waste that will be generated because of the cement. I'm so sorry I missed this. Now, basically, whenever there's a demolition that takes place, there's going to be there's going to be quite some effervescence that is going to be spread around, right? Now, suppose you're a naysayer and you just there's this waste that has been procured because of the demolition. Find that there's this waste that was demolished because of demolition. When we bring it to our notice, you will be getting certain rewards. We'll be partnering with you.
Ronak, I am not able to hear you.
Yes,
Can you just sort of slow down a bit and explain it to me in very direct?
Ronak, you can turn off your video. Your internet connection is bad, I guess.
Okay, sure.
Just explain it to me.
I'll just explain the gamification. I'll explain the gamification part again.
Yeah.
Cool. So now when we even after the analysis, let's say we are not able to pick all of them, and let's say you're a naysayer or you're a person who's walking by and you find that there is some effervescence that is dropped over there. What you can do is you can take a picture of it and you can upload it on our app. And after we recognize it, we will additional benefits through malls or fashions will be given to you. We'll be adding points to you, which can be redeemed at major fashion outlets as well. Now that is the whole gamification process over here that we are talking about.
And who's going to do this? Who's going to manage?
Coalescence developers are going to develop this whole website. It's an internal app that we'll be developing. This will be more of a marketing strategy as well to make sure to ensure that all our customers also know how much we care about the environment. And yeah, it's a win-win for everybody, right? Let's say we have misplaced
additional revenue for you guys or for us?
Additional revenue for the customers.
Who's the customer being who?
Customer being, and it could be either the people who are living around or our customers who are right now. We have 8 projects as of now, right? Or it could be anyone from them, or it could be anybody, any walker by, any passerby who's living around the area. Because when we demolish something, there'll be a lot of noise, pollution, etc. Right now, we as a company,
got this point. Go ahead.
Right. So we as a company would like to give them something in return as well through a gamified process. Yeah. So moving on to safety measures during demolition. Now the steel construction will be demolished from the top tier by tier. So we go from top to bottom to ensure that there is the whole building structure and there's no soil erosion as well. And the whole structure of the building is intact. Now, all precautions will be taken to prevent danger from any sudden twist or collapse or steel parts when it is cut or released. Now, this will be done by ensuring that the bull and barrel method, in which we will be demolishing the building in a more strategical way, going from top to bottom, as mentioned in the previous point. Now, we will be removing the various members of the steel structure to be done in a planned manner. So there will be a certain architectural plan that we will be coming up with, and floor by floor partitions shall be made, including the house by house or the building by building, and the demolition shall be taken to ensure that there's not enough soil erosion taking place and the building is demolished in the most efficient manner. Now, we will be carefully lowering the steel parts to ensure that there is no hazardous activity that is taking place. Now, the redevelopment strategies will be ensuring top quality management of traffic for the passerbys. We will be ensuring headlights. We'll be placing mirrors in strategic positions to ensure that there is no traffic hazard. There'll be continuous waste management and compost, and this will be sold to societies and to farmers nearby as well. All the waste that is generated in the demolition process, as well as when we redevelop the whole project, will be ensuring systematic parking and bus stops, and the cement roads will be widened to ensure there is enough movement of traffic. We'll be investing in great amount of renewable energy as well, including solar panels. Moving on to the residential reconstruction, we will be using housing of middle income groups and middle income groups for a shared community. An example for this would be to build a community, right? It could be a community kitchen wherein people from their food kitchens, they sell food from their own kitchen to the community. It's more like a community building aspect to it as well. We'll be making technologically sound communities. So there'll be diversified smart.
I understood largely everything. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think this should be it. I'll just take 5 seconds to explain the couple of points over here. The ecological parks and community farming point is basically all the community members come together and build gardens themselves, as well as the whole society. And ecological parks.
Self-explanatory. Yeah, thanks, Ronak. I think, Janvi, we're done. I've asked the question I had to ask. Pretty clear with the rest.
All right, then I think thank you so much, Ronak.